Namaste! Welcome to Quick Wisdom with Bliss. My name is Bliss. And this is my cute little furball friend, Joy. Spirituality is everywhere. In the air we breathe, in nature all around us, and even written into our very DNA. We are energy, and together as energy, we're all connected. We're all one. United as one, we are here on the stage of life to love and help each other live the best we can. Now, I know you've come today to learn about a very special topic, so let's put on our fun caps and get started on this sacred exploration. Quick Wisdom with Bliss. Meditation in 30 minutes. Joy and I are back with another edition of Quick Wisdom with Bliss. Today we're gonna dial away all the stress you may be feeling and settle in to learn about the fine art of meditation. Are you ready, Joy? Does all that purring mean yes? Good, let's get chillin'. Meditation isn't just an art form, it is a long practiced technique in which its practitioners use a variety of things, such as mindfulness, to help them achieve a new state of tranquility and focus. Sometimes a person will, focusing their mind on a certain object, activity, or thoughts as a means to train their attention span and awareness level. Once they are fully relaxed, they can achieve an emotionally calm and mentally clear, stable state. Meditation can be so very difficult to define because practices vary both within traditions and between them. Meditation has been practiced for an incredibly long time and is an important part of many religious traditions, as it is often thought of as the path towards self-realization and enlightenment. Some of the very first written records of meditation stem from Hindu traditions. Ever since the 19th century, Asian meditation techniques have made their way into other cultures, and they're even used in non-religious ways, like in health and business. Meditation has been used as a means to not only decrease stress, depression, anxiety, and pain, but to also increasing perception, peace, well-being, and self-concept. Research among scholars is underway to help define meditation's possible health benefits, as well as any other effects. Stateside and throughout the West, meditation techniques fall into two broad categories: open monitoring, or mindfulness meditation and focused, or concentrative meditation. Focused attention meditation, known as FA for short, is the process of focusing one's attention on a certain object, image, words, or even just breathing. Wow! Isn't the world magical? It's always telling us something if we take the time to listen. Now, listen to this. Open monitoring meditation, or OM for short, is the practice for the non-reactive monitoring of what's going on around you from moment to moment. FA methods include paying close attention to breathing or to an idea or feeling, such as love or kindness. Sometimes even mantras are employed as a means of both transcendental meditation and single-point meditation. OM methods include extreme mindfulness or shikantaza, Japanese terms which translates to silent illumination or serene reflection. Very cool! Many styles and schools of meditation can be found within Hinduism. In pre-modern and traditional Hinduism, yoga and dhyana, a Buddhist term meaning the training of the mind, are practiced as a means to unite one's soul with oneself. One of the most influential texts of classical Hindu yoga appeared in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which were written in 400 CE. The text associated with yoga and one of the 6 Astika schools of Hindu philosophy, known as Samkhya, outlines 8 limbs leading to a type of aloneness known as Kaivalya. These are known as yamas, also known as ethical disciplines. Niyamas, also known as rules. Asanas, also known as physical postures. Pranayama, also known as breath control. Pratyahara, also known as the act of withdrawal from the senses. Dharana, also known as one-pointedness of mind. Dhyana, also known as meditation. And finally, Samadhi, also known as the act of meditative absorption or trance, attained by the practice of meditation. Pretty interesting stuff, huh, Joy? We're just scratching the surface here, and I know you love scratching, so let's continue by taking a look at different types of meditation derived from specific religions. Jainism uses meditation techniques that focus on a mantra. A mantra can either be a combination of core letters or words on themes or deities. The tradition of using a mantra in Jainism goes back a long time. All Jain followers practice the usage of mantras. Mantra chants are an important part of daily lives of followers, as well as Jain monks. Even cooler, you don't have to be noisy. Mantra chanting can be done either out loud or silently in one's mind. Contemplation is also a very old and important meditation technique. When employing contemplation, a practitioner will meditate deeply on subtle facts. In the AC of Agnya Vichaya, practitioner will contemplate on several facts: the inflow, life and non-life, bondage, stoppage, and removal of karmas. And all of this will lead to the final accomplishment of liberation. In the art of Upaya Vichaya, a practitioner will contemplate on the wrong insights one indulges in. This will eventually lead to the development of what is known as right insight. When employing Vipaka Vichaya, a practitioner will reflect on the 8 basic types or cause types of karma. Finally, in the art of Sansatham Vichaya, a practitioner will think about the loneliness of the soul and the vastness of the universe. Buddhist meditation cites the meditative practices associated with the philosophy and religion of Buddhism. Core Buddhist meditation techniques have been safeguarded within ancient Buddhist texts and have both spread and changed through teacher-student lessons. Buddhists employ meditation as part of the path toward nirvana and awakening. Buddhist meditation techniques have become super popular around the world, with many non-Buddhists taking the time to learn of them and about them. In the Theravada tradition, there are 40 methods for developing concentration and over 50 methods for developing mindfulness. The Tibetan tradition is home to thousands of visualization meditations. According to the Theravada and Sarvastivada commentatorial traditions and the Tibetan tradition, during his lifetime, the Buddha identified two main mental qualities that come to be when using a healthy and wholesome meditative practice. They are serenity or tranquility, which steadies, composes, unifies, and concentrates the mind, and insight, which enables one to see, explore, and discern formations. What do you think about that, Joy? You're so cute, Joy. I love you. Sorry, lost in cuteness. Let's continue. Through the meditative development of serenity, a person is able to weaken any hindrances that may be obscuring his consciousness and bring their mind to a more collected, pliant, and still state. This quality of mind will serve to support the development of wisdom and insight. This is known as prajna, which means the quality of mind that can clearly see, or vipassana, the nature of phenomena. In Theravada, all phenomena is to be seen as being impermanent. This applies to things like suffering or feeling empty. When this happens, a person can develop a lack of passion for all things, including all hindrances and negative qualities, as a means to let them go. It is believed that the only way to true self-liberation is through the release of these hindrances and ending of craving. During what's known as the modern era, Buddhist meditation increased in popularity because of the influence of the Buddhist modernism had on Asian Buddhism. The spread of Buddhist meditation to the Western world paralleled the spread of Buddhism in the West. The new modern concept of mindfulness, which is based upon the Buddhist term sati and related to meditative practices, have in turn led to mindfulness-based therapies. Amazing, isn't it? In Sikhism, meditation known as Simran, along with the good deeds, are both necessary to achieve the practitioner's spiritual goals. Sikhs believe that without good deeds, meditation is pointless. When they engage on meditation, Sikhs aim to feel God's presence, and as a result, will then emerge in the divine light. They believe that it is only God's divine will or order that allows a practitioner the desire to begin to meditate. Taoist meditation has developed many techniques over the years, including Qi cultivation, concentration, contemplation, visualization, and mindfulness meditations during its long history. Traditional Taoist meditative practices were directly influenced by Chinese Buddhism from around the 5th century, and in turn Taoist meditation influenced Chinese martial arts and traditional Chinese medicine. Taoist meditation are central to the perfection of Chinese martial arts, as well as some Japanese martial arts. Some well-known examples are Daoyin, guiding and pulling, Qigong, life energy exercises, Neigong, internal exercises, Neidan, internal alchemy, and Taiji Quan, great ultimate boxing, which is thought of as moving meditation. One common explanation contrasts movement and stillness, referring to energetic visualization of Qi circulation in Qigong and Zuochuan, seated meditation versus stillness and movement, referring to a state of meditative calm in Taiji Quan forms. Judaism has used meditative practices for thousands of years. For example, in the Torah, the patriarch Isaac is described as going lasuach while in the field. This term understood by all the commentators as some type of meditative practice. In addition to that, there are many indications throughout the Hebrew Bible, which is also known as the Tanakh, that the prophets often meditated. Within the Old Testament, there are actually 2 Hebrew words for meditation. Hara, which means to sigh or murmur, and also meditate, and Shiha, which means to muse or rehearse in one's mind. Classical Jewish texts embrace a vast range of meditative practices that are often associated with the development of kavanah, which translates to intention. In the very first layer of rabbinic law, the Mishnah describes ancient sages waiting for an hour before their prayers in order to direct their hearts to the omnipresent one. Other early texts include instructions for visualizing the divine presence and breathing with conscious gratitude for every breath. Meditation remains of interest to a huge variety of modern Jews. In today's modern Jewish practice, one of the best-known meditative practices is known as Hitbodedut or Hisbodedus. The word comes from the Hebrew word boded, meaning the state of being alone. Christian meditation is actually in and of itself a term for a form of prayer in which an organized attempt is made as a means to get in touch with and reflect upon the revelations of God. This even ties into the origin of the word meditation. The word is derived from the Latin word meditare, which means to concentrate. Christian meditation is the process of purposely focusing on specific thoughts. Christian meditation is at times taken to mean the mid-level in a 3-stage characterization of prayer. It then involves more reflection than first-level vocal prayer, but is more structured than the multiple layers of contemplation in Christianity. For instance, the Rosary is a devotion for the meditation of the mysteries of Jesus and Mary. The gentle repetition of its prayers makes it an excellent means to moving into deeper meditation. It gives us an opportunity to open ourselves to God's Word, to refine our interior gaze by turning our minds to the life of Christ. The first principle is that meditation is learned through practice. Many people who practice Rosary meditation begin very simply and gradually develop a more sophisticated meditation. The meditator learns to hear an interior voice, the voice of God. Joy, are you ready to learn more? That's what I thought. Here we go. Blessings of knowledge. Let these facts heal us with understanding. According to theologian, educator, and pastor Edmund P. Clowney, Christian meditation differs with Eastern forms of meditation as drastically as the portrayal of God the Father in the Bible differs with the imagery of Krishna or Brahman in Indian teachings. Most styles of Christian meditation don't rely on the repeated use of mantras, yet these meditations are intended to stimulate thought and deepen meaning. The aim of Christian meditation is to strengthen the personal relationship of a devotee based on the love of God that marks Christian communion. In Islam, Salah is a mandatory act of devotion that is performed by Muslims 5 times per day. During Salah, the body goes through sets of different postures as the mind attains a level of concentration known as khushu. A second optional type of meditation, known as dhikr, which translates to remembering and mentioning God, is interpreted in different meditative techniques in Sufism or Islamic mysticism. Dhikr became one of the essential elements of Sufism as it was categorized traditionally. It is often compared with fikr, or thinking, which leads to knowledge. The practice of Sufism included specific meditative techniques by the 12th century, and its followers practiced the repetition of holy words and breathing controls. Sufism employs a meditative method akin to Buddhist concentration. It involves high intensity and sharply focused introspection. Tafakkur or tadabbur in Sufism implicitly means to reflect upon the universe. This is thought to grant access to a form of emotional and cognitive development that can only be emanating from a higher level, such as God. The feeling of receiving divine inspiration is said to liberate and awaken the intellect and the heart. This permits a unique type of inner growth that will see the usually mundane take on the quality of the infinite. Muslim teachings embrace life as a test of one's submission to God. Movements which are said to use magic like Wicca, Neo-paganism, Thelema, and occultism often required their practitioners to meditate before they are to engage in any magical work. The reason for this is thought to be the belief that magic requires a particular state of mind and as a means to make contact with the spirit world. It's believed that a devotee has to visualize one's goals or otherwise keep intent focused for a long period during the ritual in order to achieve the desired outcome. Meditation practice in these religions often revolve around visualization, directing one's internal energy, absorbing energy from the universe or higher self, and inducing trance states. The practice of magic and meditation frequently overlap in these religions. Meditation is usually seen as merely a stepping stone towards supernatural power. New Age meditations are often influenced by Eastern philosophy, mysticism, yoga, Hinduism, and Buddhism, yet may contain some degree of Western influence. In the West, meditation found its mainstream roots through the social revolution of the 1960s and 1970s, when many of the youth of the day rebelled against traditional religion. New Age meditation, as practiced by the early hippies, is regarded for its techniques of blanking out the mind and releasing oneself from conscious thinking. This is often aided by repetitive chanting of a mantra or focusing on an object. New Age meditation evolved into a range of purposes and practices, from serenity and balance to access other realms of consciousness, to the concentration of energy in group meditation, to the supreme goal of samadhi, as in the ancient yogic practice of meditation. Know what else is cool, Joy? Meow! Even governments have accepted meditation as a very useful practice that will ensure the health of their respective people. For example, the U.S. National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health states that meditation is a mind and body practice that has a long history of use for increasing calmness and physical relaxation, improving psychological balance, coping with illness, and enhancing overall health and well-being. A 2014 review found that practice of mindfulness meditation for 2 to 6 months by people undergoing long-term psychiatric or medical therapy could produce small improvements in anxiety, pain, or depression. In 2017, the American Heart Association issued a scientific statement that meditation may be a reasonable adjunct practice to help reduce the risk of cardiovascular diseases. That is quick wisdom if you ask me. What do you think, Joy? Well said, Joy. I couldn't agree with you more. Now, are you ready to get deeper into this? Okay then. A 2010 review of the literature on spirituality and performance in organizations found an increase in corporate meditation programs. As of 2016, around a quarter of U.S. employers were using stress reduction initiatives. The goal was to help reduce stress and improve reactions to stress. Aetna now offers its program to its customers. Google also implements mindfulness, offering more than a dozen meditation courses, with the most prominent one, Search Inside Yourself, having been implemented since 2007. General Mills offers the Mindful Leadership Program series, a course which uses a combination of mindfulness meditation, yoga, and dialogue with the intention of developing the mind's capacity to pay attention. Have you ever heard a kitty like my Joy purr? I bet if you have, it relaxes you, right? Now that's quick wisdom with Bliss, and that wraps up our learning for today's fascinating subject. I hope your spirit has grown as much as mine has. please come see me anytime to discuss more spiritual ideas and heart-fulfilling concepts. What was that, Joy? You don't want them to leave? Aw, neither do I. Well, they can stay if they want to. Now, let's meditate on our next adventure.